Look at how he swims!
Look at these sprites. These goofy-ass snakes.
Nope. I love him.
Yeah, this is Kusoge Week here at Retro Pals. We do this every so often, where we throw together a bunch of games that are pretty bad, pretty dire, pretty awful.
Yeah.
And, in fact, this week I took the question to our patrons, and yes, Micronics, their reputation preceded them, and they easily won this week's vote. Congratulations, Micronics. So, why don't we get started?
No.
Alex is already refusing.
These are your... Yeah, I'm with Shax for... These are your chronics.
My chronics, not anyone else's.
Oh, indeed. Alright, shall I get it started?
Yeah. Cut to the game screen. Hey, here's something everyone can like. Athena for the NES. So I figured we'd start with the few games that got released over here that were by Micronics. I think there was about a dozen. Meanwhile, in Japan, there was about 30. So, lucky Japan.
No.
The few that we got turned out to be quite memorable, so let's go ahead and play these.
Oh, God.
I'm starting out with Athena. This is very representative of the Micronics catalog. Alright, so this intro. That's the story, did you see it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she jumped. She
jumped! And that's it.
She jumped.
Now, this is a port of an arcade game. In the arcade version, it shows her jumping into a window and falling into a fantasy world. You just kind of have to remember that and keep it in your imagination when playing the NES one. You're a little girl who kicks. She hates pigmen. She gets these little bopping bats. So this game, the arcade version it's got its own issues, to say the least. But this version, Micronics, this studio, oh my god. They screwed it up so badly.
I gotta say, because of the way we're streaming this, it actually reduces the flicker by quite a bit on this screen, so it actually looks a little bit nicer. And
yeah.
Oh no, wait, there go her legs. There go her legs. They flickered out of existence.
These are the ideal situation. It's the ideal situation to present Micronics games. So here's a great thing. There's two different jump heights. If you jump a first time, you get the first jump. If you jump a second time, that's when you get the high jump.
So you have to jump
You have to jump twice in order to get the high jump. There's no way to just trigger the high jump. You can't just hold run. There is no run button.
Oh yeah, Devil Ray mentions this, Heidi mentions this, but we had
I'm cool now.
Oh my god, is that a flamethrower?
It's a flame sword.
Ooh.
Oh, I lost it.
Athena for the Famicom, I think, came with I want to say it was an idle cassette tape?
Yeah, it was an audio cassette tape that I think had Athena's theme song in it. This is actually a sequel to a game called Psycho Soldier, which featured Athena, and that was the first arcade game to have its own vocal theme song. We'll be covering that at some point on video game vocal tracks. It's a pretty important part of gaming history. They even made
vocal track history.
They even made a US dub of it, which is hilarious. But more to the point here, this game is painful to play, even if you like the original arcade version. It's you'll note many developer trademarks here. The choppiness, the fact that none of their games run at 60 frames per second. We'll get into who Micronics is and everything eventually, but I just want to establish a baseline of what you can expect from their games. And I think our goal tonight is to find one good Micronics game. Do you think we can, Alex? I'm not sure if that exists. It may not.
Maybe.
I'm looking for something passable, something that surprises with its competence.
You know,
not Athena.
Yeah, and then the Retro Pals are all about trying to find, like, we're not trying to be like, oh, everything is diarrhea dog shit. You know, there's lot of averages. Something has to be competent by Micronics.
You can make the argument this is diarrhea dog shit.
I mean, Athena
I will not throw out that argument.
Yeah, I'm not, you know.
Okay, now ideally you wanted a ranged weapon for that boss, but if you don't have it, well, sorry. There are people who speedrun this game. I admire them. There's Brosentia. I've seen him play through this game a couple of times. The real shit of this game is these weapons, because eventually near the end of the game you get these screens full of nothing but breakable blocks. And this weapon here, I think it takes out a block in 2 hits. That's not great. You can spend like upwards of 5-10 minutes just slowly carving a pathway through all these breakable stones. While some weapons, they let you take out like a dozen stones at once. Those are the best ones. But if you get hit, you lose them, and that grinds the game to a halt, making it no fun at all. There are cool ideas, like the upgradable armor, the different types of weapons, but when you give the project to a group of chimps, or whatever this was...
Danny.
I'm not going to be nice to these guys.
It's not good. I'll admit.
It really isn't.
It's not good. I'm not going to pretend it is.
This first, for many people, playing Micronics games was when they realized that a video game could be bad. Like, if you just played Nintendo stuff, you'd think, wow, video games are great. I can always count on video games to give me a good time. Micronics showed that video games aren't always your friend. And this, while not the worst Micronics has done, you can see what they're getting at. You can see a lot of flickering, a lot of just glitched out sprites just appearing and disappearing. Again, I mentioned the frame rate. A lot of their games were actually identified as theirs by a common pause sound effect. I died?
You died.
That's cool. I may have run out of time. The game really doesn't tell you when you're about to. Let's try and pause here. I think that's similar to it, yeah. Yeah, because for whatever reason, these guys went uncredited in a majority of their games, so...
I wonder why.
It was up to individual historians and researchers, like the people at GDRI, to determine which games they made. It turns out, there's a lot of them. Let's play a couple more. So the classic, 1942.
I love this arcade game. Beautiful
Alex, tell
sound.
me what you think of the arcade game and the year.
1942. It existed. 1942, the game. I've played it.
Good.
I wish I had
Great.
something intelligent to say.
So it's an early Capcom arcade game, and
yeah,
Capcom, early on, they...
Oh no, this sounds very different from the version
no.
I played in the arcade.
I forgot it sounded this bad.
Did you forget?
I kind of did.
I actually used to go to this nickel arcade that had this on free play, and I had to hear that introduced do all the time. And so one time I was like, oh hey, I'm gonna pull out my Dreamcast and play my disc of NES ROMs, and I was like, oh, 1942, I know this.
Yeah, and how hard can it be to port 1942? Again, early 80s Capcom. NES isn't super powerful hardware, but it could have done a good port, and yet we ended up with this. You see more of the Micronics trademark here, the kind of skippy sprites. Like, it's not exactly smooth. Every few frames they kind of skip a pixel or two, and it looks very strange. Like the game kind of barely is holding itself together. Let's try pausing. There it is.
Oh, there's that sound.
Yep,
yeah.
That's how you know it's a Micronics game. Now, Capcom, at this time, was producing state-of-the-art, super great arcade games. Just the best in the business. Thing was, Famicom was blown up. They wanted a part of that money, but they had no one on staff who knew how to make games for it. So, they took to a studio called Micronics, who said they'd do it quickly, cheaply, and anonymously.
They had to get them on the dark web or whatever.
I don't know how you'd go hiring people circa 1984. Like, you go in... I guess you'd go to some software catalog or magazine and you'd advertise your services. And I guess Micronics was there in the back being all like, cheap ports, done fast, but not good. Well, they probably didn't say that part.
You're making this sound very salacious.
But the thing was, at the time, there were so few studios and so little vetting or really any kind of basis for their work. Like, this was the cusp of a new generation. People were just starting to make these games. So that's what allowed Micronics to enter the business alongside other actual porting studios. Turns out the big rumor is that Micronics was just one guy, a college student, working out of his garage.
Holy shit, really?
At least at first. I know by the time Ghosts and Goblins came out, there were a few more people at Micronics. Or maybe Capcom hired someone else to help out. I don't know.
They had to have.
But these early games, yeah, it's rumored on an old 2-channel thread in Japanese that it was just one dude. There have been attempts to contact this dude for confirmation. He has not replied.
Would you?
Yeah, I don't know. At this point, I might be like, yeah, I was the Micronics guy. I told Capcom I was an actual porting studio when I was just some dude in the garage. Anyway, more games. Elevator Action. Who played this?
I did at one point.
I like Elevator Action.
I did too, actually.
It's pretty fun.
So a Taito game.
Yeah, even Taito back then. Yeah, in fact, Taito was having a tough time of organizing its own in-house console gaming development division. So they looked in the back of whatever magazine that was, saw Micronics ad, and they said sure.
Like, how bad could it be?
Port our super popular flagship arcade game, and please, just take a dump all over it. It's not like they didn't care, it was more like they didn't know what to expect from porting studios. Again, there were no standards, because this was right at the beginning. But here you see more choppy graphics, more inconsistent gameplay. Does it have the pause sound effect? Yep. There it is. Dead giveaway. I just love that there's some detective work that has to go into this to be like, okay, I suspect this is shitty enough to be Micronics, but is it really? Go in. That's fine.
Fucking rip.
Yeah, that's a problem, not being able to go in the doors. Just really delayed, crappy play control. Original arcade game had its problems, but it was nowhere near this bad. Again, like Athena, and a lot of the other games we'll see.
Oh yeah, BBH, that one arcade in the Adobe Mall did have 2 elevator action machines.
That's cool. I don't want to get to Ghosts and Goblins just yet. That's one of their better ones, their more infamous ones. How about a game no one likes?
Oh, good. Oh, fuck you.
Alex, you want to pick up your controller?
Yeah, why
This is
not?
a 2-player game.
Aww.
So once again, SNK, the studio behind Athena, they were like, hey, we got this brand new arcade game that's doing big business. Why don't you, the people who did so well bringing Athena to the Famicom, why don't you port it? And this was the result.
It's desynced again.
Did it really desync itself?
Yes!
Alex can testify that I specifically resynced
yes,
that
actually
controller.
Resynced the controller before.
I'm fucking mad, but I'm not going to stop. This is now a 1-player game.
Okay.
Sorry, Alex.
No, it's alright.
You're also going to see a common.
To do it.
You're going to see a common theme of these games appearing in Angry Video Game Nerd episodes, or other YouTube personalities just being like, "What the hell? This sucks."
Or if you're like older, maybe like Sean Baby style websites.
Oh yeah, Sean Baby.
The original diarrhea dog shit streamers.
Hey, he didn't invent the phrase diarrhea dog shit.
That's true.
That's why the Angry Nerd is famous and not Sean Baby.
Sean Baby does stuff still. They're fine.
Once again, good old Micronics. It's so distinct seeing an NES game that doesn't run at 60 frames per second, first of all, and for it to be so flickery, so glitchy. Like, how could you? How dare you? And the thing is, they port the basics of these arcade games, but they don't port things like how they control, how they feel. The cool parts, any cool parts you have to strip out because of cartridge space. And you slop it together into one barely playable mess. That's the Micronics promise. Now in this first half, a lot of these games you're going to see are mostly arcade ports, so they're obviously deficient compared to the originals. Micronics did make a bunch of original games for the Famicom that we'll get to soon.
Don't like that.
But I thought we'd cover the basics here, because these are games you might have played. I rented Ikari Warriors for the NES. We rented it for a 3-day rental period. On day 1, the video store called my dad and said, hey, we got Contra in. And Dad was like, let's take this shit back and get Contra.
Oh, thank God.
Me, I was like 5. I didn't know even what games were, but Dad was a huge nerd. He knew when he was wasting his time with something. But even better than Ikari Warriors 1, it's 2. I really don't know what SNK was thinking by this point, because they'd seen Athena, they'd seen Ikari Warriors. Why hire these people back to make another one? I'm thinking at this point they were just rushing to build their own internal development team. Like, please, anybody except these people. Also, this intro, according to the back of the box, real Morse code.
Oh.
Great.
Oh my god, Danny, we're gonna be here forever.
Nope. We're gonna see the whole thing. Is ours. Be... Why? Why is victory ours? Wow, great, thanks. We gotta... Wait a minute. Here's something funny. You can't get out of that screen. You have to reset the Nintendo.
Oh my god.
I didn't realize that. That's really funny.
Did you just say, come on, let's party?
He said, come on, let's fight, but I like party.
I'm just gonna say that he said party. God, the flicker.
So this one, it's impressive that they managed to make it even worse looking than the original Ikari Warriors. Mainly because the original arcade game kind of shifted things to a fantasy style, so it's full of monsters and stuff. You try and convert that using a very limited art staff and team, and you're going to end up with this. With sprites that look like nothing. Like it's just a lump of pixels. Luckily you still have a continue code from the first game. And they did try to make this a little more complex than the first one. They added these secret bonus rooms and things. They added multiple weapons you could play with. And yet, just look at it. Does this look any fun to play?
No.
Alright, so check this out. This part's gonna need a little bit of imagination. This is a bonus stage.
Okay. So you're going down a wormhole.
Yeah. You could tell, right? Just putting the sprite and spinning it over something makes it look like that. So what we're doing here is this is skeet shooting. You control the reticle up there, and you have to exactly hit it. Oh, I got one! Again, with Micronics games, you kind of have to use your imagination a lot of the time. If you were just looking at this, what would you think?
Skeet shooting?
Yeah,
okay.
I guess.
You know, you just crawl into a hole and shoot some skeet.
Mm-hmm. What are these things? What is anything? Yeah, guess what? I hate this too.
No shit.
Again, this is a lightning round stream. Oh my god, Super Pitfall. Do we really have to?
Yes, you do.
Alright, this is one of their more infamous ones. This is an original game. This is not an arcade port. And it was released over here by Activision, who, of course, were the creators of Pitfall. And yet, what Micronics did when Activision told them to make a new Pitfall is they made this.
Good job!
First ladder leads into a spike pit, but it's okay because a bird will kill you before you even land in it.
Thanks. Looks great.
Oh my god, I don't even need to say anything. There is an Angry Video Game Nerd episode on it, and he does a great job of summing up just how shit this game is. The thing is, it's this really big maze exploration game where there's lots of stuff to find, and people to rescue, and objectives to do. And that could be cool, having this large map to explore, finding all this hidden stuff, making blind jumps into birds. That's a game over. Oh my god, that's a new record.
That was fast. Good
the thing
job.
is, all the stuff you need to find in this game, it's all invisible. So you gotta go jump at walls, you gotta explore dead ends, just jump in the middle of places where you wouldn't think to jump. At one part, you actually have to jump into a bird, which would normally kill you, but that bird takes you to a parallel dimension, which you need to go to in order to complete the game.
Of course.
Oh, alright, good.
Danny.
What? Are you saying you could do better?
Absolutely not! I'm saying that I never want to play this game, and you can have it.
Are you secretly a Super Pitfall pro?
No, none the
You should have told me this.
I know. I'm not in the least. Please don't make me play this game.
We can use that. We can make money off that talent.
Every
Saturday here in Austin, get together, watch a Super Pitfall TAS. Oh god, yeah, they're swimming. It does.
Look at how he swims!
Look at these sprites! These goofy ass snakes.
Nope. I love him.
So far at least, I have not found the good Micronics game. I don't think one was released in the States. If one exists, I'm pretty sure it's on Famicom. This is a waterfall, by the way. Again, your imagination. You kids today, your brains have been ruined by cell phones. You can't appreciate these brilliant games.
Cell phones and Peppa Pig Murder Mini. Funny, ABC's nursery rhyme.
You watch those YouTube nursery videos made by content farms and your brains get melted. And that's why you can't appreciate Super Pitfall. Alright, so before we move on, I'm going to try and do something. So this game, speedrunners have gotten a hold of it. They've gotten the completion time down to like 5 minutes, I think. Kind of nuts. And the whole strat to this game is something I'm going to try and pull off here. So because this is made by Micronics, the game doesn't constantly check for collision. Every few seconds or frames, it'll forget, and if you happen to be moving into a wall while it's not checking for collision, you'll just move into the wall. And that's the basis for a lot of the strategies for speedrunning. Oh, he's not doing it. Oh, he did a little bit.
Okay, keep going.
Supposedly, yeah, the more enemies are on the screen, the more lag is created, so that lets you more easily pass through the wall. Just imagine doing this in Super Mario Brothers, though. Just like, yeah, hold Mario against the wall for a few seconds, he'll break the game. There we go. This is normally where you'd be at the end of the game.
You did it!
And you jump there, which of course is the portal to the parallel dimension.
Obviously.
Dumbass. And that's where you get killed by the tiny dodo bird. It's here, not just... In their arcade ports, they show very little competence, very little ability at doing anything. But when you let them on their own to make their own games, that's when the real shit shines through. And that's why I can't wait to get to the Famicom games.
Oh my god.
Just, wow, you let these people go loose and they didn't know what the hell to do. They had no idea how to make a game. None of this is good.
And there he goes.
It's cool, I got this.
Do you think, like, this is Mario's, like, third or fourth cousin?
Well, if you look at the box art for the Famicom version, it looks like Mario, only his mustache is made of spaghetti.
Fucking gun power-up, Jesus.
Damn it! The enemies fire back! Well, that's a game over.
Oh, thank God.
It's a real big game, a lot to explore, many, many hours of fun, if you want to try it out. Highly recommended? Thundercade.
So what's Thundercade? That's Thundercade.
Thundercade. Now this one, it has the distinction of being the only Micronics game to only be released in the US. All these other games, they got releases in Japan. Not this one. Sammy, they called up... American Sammy, your favorite company, they called up Micronics. They said, hey, we need something cheap and bad for the Americans. And Micronics was like, can do.
Like, we're very good at cheap and bad.
The funny thing about this game, I saw this on Crontendo when he featured this game, is that at the end, as you saw in the scroll there, you have to blow up the enemy's nuclear power plant. You do this by standing right in front of it and just shooting at it, and the end shows your character just slowly walking away from a mushroom cloud.
Congrats,
it's the most
dude.
badass thing ever. What is radiation? Who cares? So, once again, subpar arcade port, very jerky scrolling, lots of flickering, but there is destructible environments. That's something. It's also one of those games where you have to tap B every time you shoot, so make sure you have a turbo controller. Oh, I've forgotten to check. Let's see the pause sound. There it is. Because for most of these games, the one thing they share is a sound driver. You know Micronics. They make it once and then never again. Something you made in 1984, still good to use in 1990. It's fine. American Sammy is paying us like $5 to make this game.
Chad keeps calling the single dev at Micronics.
His name may be Mike. Yeah, he is.
Good old Mike. That's all I can think of
Micronics.
now. Oh, a Teleplan game.
Yeah, this is... Thundercade was also published by Taito. This is another Taito-published game. And this is developed by noted arcade shoot-'em-up developer Toaplan. I think this is one of their earliest shooters. Eventually they'd make stuff like Fire Shark, Batsugun, stuff like that.
digging the MS Paint water.
Yeah, so humble beginnings for Toaplan. Or so you'd think just by looking at this port. The arcade version looks much better.
Yeah, arcade version is great.
But what gets me is that these games were released over here. They were released in Japan, and people hated them. These companies knew that people hated them, yet instead of releasing better games, they were just like, yep, ship it. People will buy it because it's a port of an arcade game. All I'm saying is, thank God, these companies eventually got their shit together.
And decided to, like, not...
Thank God Taito formed their own in-house development team so that they could make Takeshi no Chosenjo. A true masterpiece. Fuck this. Why playing these games, you get the sensation like you're just wasting your time, but we do need to look at
We gotta look at more.
these.
I'm sorry, Danny.
Another Sammy game.
The whole. Did you notice that to do the flicker effect for Twin Cobra, they made the entire screen flash?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not just
great.
the title screen.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because it was easier.
Well, it's fucking Micronics.
Oh, slightly different sound effect, but the same kind of, Alright, and this one looks like this. And it's really a shame that most of the Micronics games we got were these arcade ports that are just like, wow, this isn't nearly as good as the arcade game, this sucks. When their original stuff is worse, and yet way more interesting, I'd say. Because nowadays you'd fire up MAME if you really want to play this game. There's no reason to play such a shit port. You know, and early on, lots of slowdown, glitchiness. Still a decent amount of action on the screen, but you know. I'm pulling at straws here.
It looks better than other Micronics games.
It actually does, is the thing. The MS Paint water and everything. Alright, I've put it off for too long. Let's finish up this segment. This is the real shit. This is what Micronics is known for more than anything here in the States. The NES port of Ghosts and Goblins. Oh, man. Oh, man.
Well, I know Ghosts and Goblins is one of your favorite games, so I bet you're really excited to play this port.
Yeah, I owned this game as a kid. The thing is, like, I feel... This game makes me feel bad now, because a few weeks ago I called my mom on the phone, and we were talking about the games I used to play when I was a kid. And she was like, "You were always playing that Ghosts and Goblins." She was all like, you know, do. And I just thought, oh my god, how many times has that poor woman heard the Ghosts and Goblins theme? The shitty, shrill NES version of it. And I never got past stage 2, so it was just that song that she'd be hearing for hours and hours.
Your poor mom!
You never think about this growing up, but you really torture your parents as a kid. And Mom, I'm so sorry.
Mom had to hear so much Micronics.
Another good feature of their games, load times. Oh, this game. Okay, so the thing is, this game was revolutionary in Japan, believe it or not. This was the first 1 megabit game. Before that, games could only be like 512K at most, I think. That's kind of why they released the Famicom Disk System, to give pretty much twice the storage space of carts at the time. But by the time this game came out, it was ROM prices had gotten cheaper enough where Capcom could just be like, hey, put in a full 1 megabit into this cartridge. And that's what they did. And at that moment, every Famicom Disk System developer went, shit. Because that pretty much just eliminated the need for the disk system. This guy, kind of a problem in the arcade game. Really trivial in this version, because you can just do that. You have to actually learn how to fight him in the arcade one. By the way, arcade game, super great. I will not hear anyone say anything bad about Ghosts and Goblins.
Yeah, Danny is a real Ghosts and Goblins,
This game, you can shit all over it. I don't care. Oh, look at this. Nice frame rate. Didn't anyone test this? Damn it.
Danny.
I'm gonna play one credit of this. because they deserve it. It's their biggest game, at least here in the States. And after this, they actually used the 1 megabit thing as a selling point. So on the cover of Athena, it was all like, hey, 1 meg game.
Oh, that sucks!
Yeah. So of course it's going to be a good port of the arcade game. Just buy it. It includes a cassette tape. Come on.
Yeah, this is, this seems to be one of the Fanboy Masterminds now. This is kind of one of the least bad, Micronics games so far, maybe.
And the thing is, yeah, it's fully playable for whatever that's worth. It gets a lot of details wrong. You cannot use this to learn how to play the arcade game. But taken in its own context, it's really maybe the least bad Micronics game that was released over here.
Does this do the pause sound, by the way?
Oh, good question. Let me go to the next stage.
Hey.
Alright, I beat 1 level of this. That's good enough for me. Seriously, I spent probably 6-7 years on this level as a kid. I could never get past level 2. Hey, this one has its own unique pause effect. Then again, there's a lot of people listed in the hidden credits to this game, so Capcom may have hired on some extra people.
Maybe they got the original version and it was so shit they're like, please.
We can't release this. This is just... come on.
We gotta do something.
Alright, I'm on my last life, in my underwear. Should also point out the first half of tonight's show is probably going to run a little long, since we have like 30 Famicom games to get through in the next half hour. Luckily, the second half will be Genesis and Super Nintendo games, so that shouldn't take too long. Mm-hmm. 1 more life. In this shit show. I really like the load time after you die, and then after the map screen. It's just extra time to think about how you fucked up. Extra time to think about how you're irritating your mom for years and years and years. Because this is one of 5 games that you own. Seriously, Mom, I'm so sorry.
Your mom's so cool.
She is. She didn't deserve this game. The thing is, I can't decide what's harder, the arcade version or this game. Because I can 1 credit clear the arcade game, at least the Japanese version. But this game, not even close. It's just, it plays completely differently. You have to learn entirely new strategies. So I guess if you wanted a game that looked at least superficially like the arcade version, this would be it. You wouldn't be too let down by this. But as for gameplay, oh, look at this. Look at this.
What the fuck? Is he okay?
Camping scum.
Danny!
Wow. Okay, so you do actually have to lure them away in this version. That's interesting. Yeah, if you let them do their own thing, they'll just camp all day. That's hilarious.
Oh, he's freaking out!
No, go over here. Go over here. Don't go over there.
Come on, get him. There you go.
I think at this point is when my dad decided to reevaluate how he chose to buy NES games. Mm-hmm. He was a fan of horror movies, so he ended up with Castlevania, because, you know, it has Dracula on the front. Great game. Good choice. Mm-hmm. So then he found this other game with a bunch of cool monsters on the cover called Ghosts and Goblins. You think, yeah.
That sounds good. Ghosts, Goblins. Sounds scary.
Ghosts, Goblins, I'm in.
Spooky good time.
You look at the back of the box, which shows screenshots from the arcade version. You think, yeah, great. Wow, cool. Looks exactly like it. And then this happens. And you learn never to trust anyone. That's the lesson from this section of the stream. Don't trust anyone. You think you like arcade games? You think you like Ghosts and Goblins? You're wrong.
Danny becoming a nihilist due to Micronics. Thanks.